Welcome, dear students. Today, we begin with an insightful journey into the ideas of A.R. Desai, pronounced A.R. Desai, one of India's prominent Marxist sociologists. Have you ever wondered how governments balance individual freedoms with social responsibilities? Desai critiques what we often call the welfare state, a concept many believe ensures social security and equality. But he argues in his famous essay, The Myth of the Welfare State, that these claims don't always hold up. Think of the welfare state as a positive state. Unlike the minimal role suggested by classical liberal thinkers, which simply maintain law and order, the welfare state actively designs and implements social policies for the common good. It is more than a night watchman. It's a planner and provider. Desai's Marxist perspective helps us to understand the deeper economic and class dynamics at play. Before moving forward, how do you think a welfare state differs from a classical liberal state in terms of its responsibilities towards citizens? Pause for 20 seconds to think. Great thinking. The welfare state steps beyond mere law enforcement to take an active role in addressing social inequalities, aiming to ensure freedom from poverty and discrimination. But as we will learn, Desai criticizes the effectiveness of such states, particularly in capitalist countries. Let's delve deeper into the three defining features of a welfare state that A.R. Desai outlines. First, as a positive state, the welfare state moves beyond the classical liberal idea of laissez-faire, which means let do or let things be, where governments only enforce laws and order. Instead, it actively shapes social welfare policies. Think of it like a gardener tending each plant carefully rather than just leaving them to grow on their own. Secondly, democracy is essential. Desai notes that formal democratic structures such as multi-party elections define welfare states. Socialist or communist states without such political competition were excluded from this definition by liberal thinkers. This clarifies why political freedoms matter alongside social policies. Finally, the welfare state involves a mixed economy, a blend of public and private sectors. For example, while private companies may dominate consumer products, public enterprises often focus on essential goods and social infrastructure like schools and hospitals. Pause and consider for 20 seconds. Why do you think democracy is seen as essential for a welfare state to function effectively? Excellent reflection. Democracy ensures that governments remain accountable to citizens, allowing people to influence social policies actively. Without this, social welfare programs might serve narrow interests rather than the broader community. Now that we understand what a welfare state is, A.R. Desai asks us to probe deeper with some critical questions or test criteria to measure how well welfare states actually perform. Step 1. Does the welfare state ensure freedom from poverty, social discrimination, and provide security to all citizens? This is fundamental social justice and equality are its cornerstones. Step 2. Does it reduce income inequalities by redistributing wealth, transferring resources from the richer to the poorer segments of society? This tackles the root causes of social disparities. Step 3. Is the economy structured in a way where the capitalist profit motive is controlled, made to serve real community needs rather than mere profits? Step 4. Does it ensure stable economic development, avoiding the harmful cycles of economic booms followed by depressions? This stability helps families and businesses plan their futures confidently. Step 5. Does the state provide employment for all, ensuring livelihoods and social dignity? Pause now for 25 seconds. Reflect on these criteria. Do you think any contemporary welfare states meet these standards fully? I hope you connected correctly. Many welfare states, particularly in capitalist societies, fall short on several of these criteria. For instance, high unemployment and economic inequalities persist widely, showing the complex challenges welfare states face in balancing economic growth with social equity. Having laid down the criteria, Desai puts theory to the test. By studying welfare states in countries like Britain, the USA, and various European nations, he finds that their claims don't quite match reality. Even in the most developed societies, the promise of freedom from poverty and discrimination often remains unfulfilled. Economic inequalities don't diminish significantly. Instead, wealth frequently concentrates further. Moreover, the so-called welfare states cannot shield their economies from the roller coaster cycles of booms and recessions, something that deeply affects everyday people. Unemployment remains stubbornly high in many places, reflecting structural issues. High levels of excess capacity in industries, meaning factories and services aren't fully employed, also demonstrate inefficiencies. All these observations lead Desai to conclude that the welfare state, as popularly understood, is somewhat of a myth. It's a powerful idea that does not always find its full expression in practice. Pause and analyze for 20 seconds. Why might capitalist welfare states struggle to fulfill the ideals of social security and equality? Great thinking. One key insight is the inherent tension in capitalism between profit motives and social welfare. Governments face pressure from business interests, and market forces can undermine social programs. This conflict complicates efforts to balance economic growth with social justice. While A.R. Desai's critique is sharp towards capitalist welfare states, he also doesn't shy away from pointing out faults within communist states. He presents a nuanced view grounded in Marxist theory. Marxist theory often describes the state as a tool for class domination, but Desai believes that genuine socialism must balance social justice with political freedoms. According to him, political liberties such as freedom of speech, rule of law, and participatory governance are indispensable even within socialist or communist regimes. Think of it as needing both engines for a plane to fly smoothly: the push for social equality and the support of democratic rights. Without political liberties, socialist states risk authoritarianism and loss of true public representation. Pause for 20 seconds to reflect. Why do you think political liberties are crucial in socialist states? How can they strengthen or weaken social justice efforts? Excellent insight. Political liberties foster accountability, protect against abuses of power, and allow citizens to actively participate in shaping society. This makes socialism more responsive and humane, preventing concentration of power that can harm social justice aims. Now let's engage actively, all of you sociologists in the making. In Activity 3, we explore a vital debate. Should the state do more for its citizens, as Marxists like A.R. Desai suggest, or should it do less, trusting the free market instead? Start by listing what the state or government provides in your own neighborhood: schools, roads, water supply, electricity, hospitals, public transport, sanitation, police services, and more. Has this list grown or shrunk over recent years? What might happen if these services suddenly stop? Also, imagine how people from different economic backgrounds, rich, middle class, and poor, might react differently. Would all be equally affected? Pause and think about this for 30 seconds. Fantastic reflection. This activity helps us appreciate that the state's role is complex and contested. Services that seem routine are actually lifelines for many, especially marginalized groups. The balance between too much and too little state intervention affects social equity and quality of life. Your own experiences are the perfect lens to understand these big sociological questions. Let's shift our focus now to another giant of Indian sociology, Mysore Narasimhachar Srinivas, or simply M.N. Srinivas. Born in 1916 in the city of Mysore into an Iyengar Brahmin family, Srinivas had a remarkable academic path. He began his higher education at Mysore University before moving to Bombay, now Mumbai, where he studied under the well-known sociologist G.S. Ghurye. His master's thesis, focused on marriage and family among the coorgs, was so impactful it was later published as a book. Seeking greater depth, he then pursued doctoral studies at Oxford University, studying under distinguished scholars Radcliffe Brown and Evans Pritchard. By 1947, he earned a D.Phil in social anthropology, combining rich ethnographic fieldwork with advanced theory. This picture on your screen gives a glimpse of his life journey and academic milestones. Srinivas later returned to India, where he established the sociology departments at Baroda and Delhi schools of economics, nurturing generations of sociologists. Pause for 20 seconds. Reflect on how Srinivas's international education and Indian roots might have shaped his sociological thinking. Insightful reflections. His ability to blend Western anthropological methods with deep understanding of Indian social realities helped establish Indian sociology on the world stage, bridging local knowledge with global scholarship. M.N. Srinivas was not just an institution builder, he made pioneering contributions to our understanding of Indian society, especially caste and social change. Using the structural functional approach, his ethnographic research in villages provided detailed insights into how social institutions and cultural norms function to maintain stability while enabling change. One fascinating concept he introduced is Sanskritization. This process involves lower caste communities adopting customs, rituals, and lifestyles of higher castes, aiming to improve their social standing. It's like trying on a new social identity to gain respect and influence. Srinivas also studied social mobility and how traditional societies adapt to modern influences. However, he often lamented that his heavy institutional responsibilities left limited time for personal research. Pause and think for 20 seconds. Can you identify examples of Sanskritization or social change in your own community or recent social events? Great thinking. Whether it's new fashion trends, language use, or festival practices, Sanskritization reminds us that culture is dynamic. Social change is continuous, shaped by aspirations, interactions, and historical forces. Looking again at figure on your screen, let's carefully survey the life of M.N. Srinivas. Starting with the upper portion, we see that he was born on November 16, 1916, in Mysore, born into an Iyengar Brahmin family. His father was involved with the Mysore Power and Light Department, indicating a well-established background. Moving to the right side, observe the photograph capturing the scholar's dignified presence. The lower portion traces his education, completing a master's degree under Professor G.S. Ghurye in 1942, followed by a Ph.D. submitted in 1944, and later a D.Phil degree from Oxford in 1947, where he studied under eminent anthropologists. His academic career flourished after returning to India. He founded sociology departments at the Maharaja Sayajirao University in Baroda and the Delhi School of Economics. Later, he co-founded the Institute of Social and Economic Change in Bangalore. He passed away on November 30, 1999, leaving a lasting legacy. Pause and reflect for 20 seconds. What does the timeline of Srinivas's life tell us about the growth of sociology as a discipline in India? Wonderful insights. His life coincides with India's transition from colonial rule to independence and modernization. Through his efforts, sociology gained a firm institutional footing, enabling deeper understanding of Indian social realities. A.R. Desai's critique remains highly relevant as we look around the world today. Even decades after his writings, many welfare states still struggle with poverty, social inequality, and unemployment. Globalization has introduced new challenges. By emphasizing neoliberal policies, these policies push for less state control and more free market activity. Sometimes this means cuts in social welfare programs. For instance, India's Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, MGNREGA, is a massive welfare initiative that attempts to provide guaranteed employment to rural households, an effort to combat poverty and stimulate the economy. Yet, the implementation complexities reflect ongoing tensions in welfare state policies. Pause and think for 20 seconds. How do you see the role of the state changing in your own country with regards to welfare and social security? Great thinking. As economies evolve with technology and globalization, the state's role in protecting citizens' social rights becomes more crucial, yet more contested. Understanding these debates helps us become informed citizens. M.N. Srinivas's sociological concepts continue to illuminate changes in Indian society today. Sanskritization is apparent as many communities seek social upliftment by adopting higher caste customs. Modern examples include changing dress, language, or even food habits influenced by media and globalization. Urbanization, pronounced urbanization, brings new social dynamics as people move from villages to cities. This migration transforms traditional social structures and creates opportunities for education and employment. Social mobility is another critical concept, mapping how individuals or groups climb the social ladder through education, jobs, or migration. Pause and analyze for 20 seconds. Can you spot examples of social mobility or Sanskritization in your neighborhood or through media you consume? Excellent examples. From fashion trends to career aspirations, Srinivas's concepts help us understand the complex, ongoing story of social change in India and beyond. Although A.R. Desai and M.N. Srinivas came from different sociological traditions, their contributions together enrich our understanding of Indian society. Desai's Marxist lens helps us critically evaluate state power, political economy, and class relations. He challenges us to question the efficacy of welfare states and the contradictions of capitalism. On the other hand, Srinivas provides nuanced analyses of social processes like caste dynamics and cultural change through detailed ethnographic research. Together, their voices give us a comprehensive sociological toolkit, structural critique, and cultural insight. Pause for 20 seconds. Think about how cultural practices in your community might be shaped both by economic structures and social change processes. Brilliant sociological understanding. Remember, society is a complex web where economy, culture, politics, and tradition all interact continually. As we wrap up our exploration, remember the key lessons. The welfare state, such a celebrated ideal, often struggles against real-world challenges, economic inequalities, political pressures, and market volatility. Democracy and a mixed economy remain key features, but require constant vigilance and active citizen participation to function properly. Through M.N. Srinivas's work, we see social life as fluid, shaped by culture, traditions, and aspirations for better status through processes like Sanskritization. Together, these sociological perspectives encourage us to think critically, not take things for granted. Pause for reflection. How can understanding these sociological ideas help you engage with social issues in your own community? Thank you for your enthusiasm and critical thinking. You're on your way to becoming insightful sociologists who see beyond surface appearances to the deeper workings of society.